Welcome to Brandworking TV.
In this episode of Brandworking TV, we'll be talking about why people are setting their Nikes on fire and what were they thinking. We'll be chatting with our special guest and medalist sprinter Janice Muir, and a perfect elevator pitch in our Brandworking tips, plus all the news from the Weekly Rocket.
Welcome to Brandworking TV with your host Lauren Clemett from the Ultimate Business Propeller.
In this episode of What Were They Thinking?
At the 1968 Olympics in Mexico, Tommy Smith and John Carlos made a stand against racism and were dropped from the team. Almost 50 years later, San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick is still fighting, refusing to stand at the national anthem, saying it would be wrong of him to stand while African Americans are still being oppressed. It cost him his career. While his actions may have divided a nation, one of the biggest sporting brands in the world, Nike, saw an opportunity. They got behind his stand and made him a hero of a campaign about belief and sacrifice. In reaction, many burned their Nikes. Nike, to their credit, stuck by the athlete and took a tongue-in-cheek approach, encouraging people to stay safe while they burnt their gear, clearly indicating if you don't agree in basic human rights and want to burn their products, go ahead. It won't change their stance either. Of course, the public have jumped on this, with clever memes appearing to support the issue. Good on you, Nike. I don't know what they were thinking, but it certainly got us talking. Janice was a natural athlete, and at just 10 years old, she was Victorian champion for 70 and 100 metres and competed in the Victorian Athletic School Girls Championship at just age 11. For several years, she competed against some of the country's best athletes representing her home state, until she was told that she was not good enough. She believed what she was told, and she quit. But as she faced more challenges later in life, including losing her partner of 35 years to Alzheimer's, being diagnosed with breast cancer and being made redundant from a 30-plus year career in the public service, she decided it was time to really step things up in life. In 2012, she decided to create her own business, I Believe, I Achieve, and she self-published a book inspiring youth to find their passion and to live life to the fullest. She's gone on to author and publish 2 more books, and to become a respected keynote speaker, motivator, and visionary leader. Janice's experiences have shown her that life can pass by pretty quickly, so it's best to live it to the fullest while you can.
Janice, thank you so much for being on Brandworking TV today. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for asking.
Now, Janice, it was a long time ago, but you said even as a child that you would love to become an author. What made you think that when you were just such a small child?
In class we were doing what we used to call compositions, essays. And I used to just get into flow and write as the third person. Didn't even know what that was, it was just how I wrote. And the teacher one day said to me, "Why are you always the cat, the dog, the horse, the car, whatever?" And I said, "Just is, you know."
So why aren't you yourself when you're writing?
Basically, yeah.
Wow.
But it was an instant thing that I could write as if I was the bird watching everything happening and say it from the bird's perspective, right? Which is, when you think about it, a pretty unique thing to do at a young age, right? And through the conversation with the teacher, there was something go up here that said, "You'll be an author one day."
Wow. Even when you were a child, you knew that?
I knew at around 8, 9 years of age I was going to be an author. I just didn't know what I was going to write about.
Now, you're also incredibly athletic as well, of course, winning all of those medals, and you've got some of your medals here today with you. So you achieved so much through athletics and through basketball as well, and all sorts of other sports, netball. What happened when somebody said to you, especially when you'd won these medals and done so well and achieved so much, and they said to you, you know, you're getting a bit above your station. What makes you think you're so special?
It was a very interesting time because the family had been talking about aspirations, what we wanted to achieve in life. And at that point in time, for me, it was about running. All I saw was the vision of the racetrack. I still see the racetrack first, 25 metres, 25 metres, 25 metres. I just plot it out in my head and I know where I'm going. But in the conversation, of course, I said I wanted to run in either the Munich or the Montreal Olympic Games. Now, that was pretty big as a 10, 11-year-old. And then this voice over here said, what makes you think you're good enough? Now, I didn't understand then what the impact of that would be on my life. But funnily enough, I never ran again from that date.
Wow.
I never ran in competition again from that date. So that impact of all of the words that were actually said really did have a huge ripple effect, on me. And the sad part about it is it's happening every day in life with everybody.
They're listening to what other people are saying.
Yeah. If I'd have followed my gut, if I'd have followed that part of me that says, you can do this, you can beat Raylene Boyle, well, I should have just said, no, I'm going out. I want to keep going to sports.
Would you go back? Would you go back to that time now with your
my
brain?
oath. My oath. I'd be right there, darling. My feet are already on them.
And what would you say then to your 11-year-old self at the time?
Ignore what is being said from the outside. Just listen to what you are saying to yourself on the inside. Because everything comes from the inside out. Somebody else's opinion of us is not our problem. It's their opinion.
Because the human brain innately wants to keep itself safe, doesn't it? Which is why people have these fears.
Totally.
Not even just for themselves, but for other people. And they to say
Correct.
that to a child, what makes you think you're good enough, is particularly damaging, as you say.
Yeah, totally.
What would be the big message you'd give to youth today when it comes to having self-belief?
Whilst our parents maybe, and uncles, aunts, everybody outside us may be giving us an element of guidance, but if that guidance is not resonating with us, then of course that's not necessarily for us. To actually go and sit quietly by yourself and ask yourself the question, is this really what I want? So from our soul point of view, what we're feeling inside, how we're viewing that, what that is to us, that's what we resonate from. What we see it up here, well, that's the forward thinking about what could actually happen. Keep that in the positive element. All this outside chatter, we've got to be able to filter it in a way that we don't feel threatened by it. We don't feel turned upside down by it. And that's sometimes not as easy said as being able to do.
Absolutely. So to do that, I guess, you need to have a real clarity of focus, of deciding this is what I want to be doing and having a pretty clear picture in your mind of where you want to be. And I know when you were running, you even used to prepare yourself for the races, even on your way there in the car. Tell me more about that.
This is amazing when I now look back. I sat behind Dad as the driver and I would just lean myself up and look out the window. That's basically the position I was in the car. But what I came to realise is, red, yellow, green on the traffic lights. Take your marks. Red. We're stopped. We're at the traffic. We're at the starting line. Right? What I also did is I took an imaginary line outside of the car on both sides to identify where the other cars were, and I took a line and thought, you're right, well then I've got to beat that line across the intersection. Sometimes longer, sometimes short ones.
And this was on your way to racing?
This was on my way to the athletic ground on competition day. Now, I didn't understand what was going on. I never told anybody because they might think I was a bit loopy. But this is going on in my head consistently. And we had 40, 50 traffic lights to go through.
And you're preparing yourself in your mind for the race
all
that was
the
about to
way.
occur.
I knew I would win. I had a knowing inside of me. I'd already run fast. I had all the tickets to prove that. I knew that there was, competition would be high. There was another lass by the name of Cheryl Fossey. She was the regional area for the city. Nobody's beaten her. She's out there. Boy, I tell you, I nailed her. And I say that with love.
You can tell you're quite competitive, Janice.
I wouldn't say that.
Is competition important, do you think, to be competitive even just with yourself and the world around you?
Look, it's a very interesting point that you bring up. I hadn't necessarily thought of it from that line, but yes, it does make a lot of sense. I don't go out there to compete because at the moment I'm still at the starting line learning so many things in life, right? I would never go up and compete against a lawyer. That's not my forte because I do not know what they're talking about. But when it comes to mindset, I'm in there.
Yeah.
Right? Because the mindset and understanding, I've walked the walk to walk the talk.
Yeah.
Right? And until we've experienced something like that calibre, it's very hard to go out there and being competitive with somebody else.
So tell us more about your passion behind setting goals and being laser focused, which you talk about in A Vision to Win, which is your book that you've written about this ability to set goals. How do you suggest, even just the first step for people to start to get really clear on that laser focus?
Well, like I said before, everything comes from the inside. It comes from the inside out. And that's a beautiful way in which, to share it. But until it's congruent that we see it up here, we feel it in here, how can we get it to work? I can remember my grandfather I'm going to say a very young age, running his hand up and down my shin bone. And he said words that were profound probably at the time and thinking, oh yeah, Granddad thinks I'm clever and I can run fast. But it's hit me on numerous times in life what that impact has done.
What did he say?
He basically said a straight shin is a fast runner. I remember him running his thumb up and down my shin. And my shin was shiny too, as in it was very defined. Okay, you're still maturing at that younger age. But being able to have that capacity and know that I could run, I was already running fast around the schoolyard and everything. But once I got into the competition side, puts it in a slightly different perspective. And just going back to what you've asked, when you've got the vision and you can see it here in your mind, your third eye as it's known, right? And you can get the sensation all through the body that I'm going for this. You feel it here because you're passionate about it. It becomes congruent inside of you. It becomes who you are.
So the interesting thing, Janice, that I see with your story is that those natural gifts and talents you had as a child, here you are as an adult much later in life, and you are still building on those same talents and skills and really starting to understand them, but more importantly, getting very, very focused on how you can use your natural skills and abilities to help the world.
My coach, okay, we'll go right back to the racetrack. This is where it all began. I'm just running down the road, I'm running down the track. And the coach at the other end said, well, how in the heck are you going to get to the end there for, the drive to know what you're going for? And I looked at him stupidly as much as I say, what do you mean? And that's where I learned. He said, well, I'm going to dangle the gold medal. Is this really what you want, second or third, or do you want fourth?
So if you are really struggling with setting goals, if you feel detached, I guess, from what you see to what you feel, then you might want to grab a copy of A Vision to Win by the lovely Janice Muir. Thank you, Janice, for being on the show. Welcome. You can get hold of your copy of Janice's book at this very address. Janice, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. I wish you all the best to go out and win as many more medals as you will in life and to really help others have that vision to win. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for asking, and it's a pleasure to be here.
In this Brandworking tip, we're going to be sharing how to create the perfect elevator pitch. Now, an elevator pitch is incredibly vital in order for your clients to understand why they should choose you. And remember, the purpose of an elevator pitch is only to open the door to a longer conversation. There's no sales involved in an elevator pitch. It really is just to create intrigue and excitement and have the person you're talking to ask you for more information to open that door. So the best formula for an elevator pitch, it's really easy and you might want to take this down, It all is about being very, very clear, making sure you're not using jargon, you're not using language that people don't understand. And in fact, if a 12-year-old can understand your elevator pitch, you're well on your way to succeeding. So make it really clear. Don't try to bamboozle people. Don't try to be clever. Don't try to sell to them. Just be really clear with who you are, what you do, and why they should choose you. Make sure you talk about exactly who you help. You need to be relevant, and you need to have the person you're talking to relate to you. And if it's not them that you could help, who do they know that could definitely do with your help? You certainly can't help every Mary in the dairy, and trying to help everyone do everything is not going to get you anywhere. So make sure you're very clear in your pitch exactly about who it is that you help. Make sure as well you're solving problems. People aren't searching for solutions, but they do know what their problems are. So don't try to sell, don't try to list all the solutions and benefits of working with you and your company. Talk about them and their problems, and make sure you talk about how you can help them solve their problems. And of course, the most important part of an elevator pitch is to tell them why. Tell them why you are so passionate about helping them. People want to believe in what you believe. They want to like you, they want to know you, they want to trust you. And by telling them why you're so passionate about helping people to solve these problems, they're going to engage with you and connect with you more naturally. So there is the best formula for an elevator pitch. Be really clear, exactly who you help, solve their problem, and tell them why. BEST. So hopefully that formula helps you to form some really good relationships, open some doors, and have a great pitch next time you're networking. If you want to know more about the best formula for an elevator pitch, get hold of your copy of Selling You. It's the best-selling personal branding guidebook that can help you really become well-known, well-paid, and wanted. Now, the best formula in Selling You includes not only the formula I've shared today, but also sentence starters, testimonials and case studies from people who have used the best formula to really leverage their business. There's also lots of other action steps for you to become well-known, well-paid and wanted. So grab your copy at sellingyou.books.com.
Time to check out the Weekly Rocket. Hi there, in this Weekly Rocket we have some amazing opportunities for you to get your brand out there. Number one, we have a vlog called Presenter World, and this is a video blog, and they are looking for experts. They're hand-picked, so you do need to apply for this. Presenter World is a 30 to 45 minute interview, and it's a vlog, so you need to obviously do your hair, brush your teeth, and get your video going. So it's a video blog, and the awesome Michael Cinnabar is there to interview you. So if you are an expert and you want to share with the world your expert knowledge, get onto Presenter World. Next one, Inspiring Women Wanted. This is for This Women Can. This is a blog. It's actually a hub for women to share their stories and experiences. So if you work with women, or you're a woman in business, or you're leading change as a woman in leadership, then certainly get your story into This Woman Can. It's Inspiring Women's Stories Wanted, and it's a blog. Next one is a vlog, and it's Guests Again Wanted, again a video blog. So you do need to appear on camera. This is for entrepreneurs and influencers. If you are a creative storyteller, an entrepreneur, an influencer, you're a content consultant, there's something that you do that shares your brilliance with the world, the lovely Antoine Aroldi in Canada would like to interview you on his blog. It's based in Canada. You do need to email Antoine with a bit of background, and he will let you know if you've made it onto his vlog, but he is looking at interviewing some experts very, very soon. Fashion Designers Wanted is this next one. Now, there's a UK-based market platform who also connect fashion brands with manufacturers globally, and they are looking for people who want to be on the top list of fashion influencers. So if you are in the fashion field, you're a designer, you've got an e-commerce site with fashion, or you're selling clothing online, then definitely get into that opportunity to be on the top list of fashion influencers. Next one, this is a blog, Hoarding Experts Wanted. Now, if you either know someone who's a hoarder, or maybe you help people with their bad habits around hoarding, there's an expert wanted for this particular blog. They want you to give your specific tips and tools so that they can include it in their blog post about organising or minimalism. So if you're a decluttering specialist or someone who deals with hoarding, then definitely jump onto that opportunity. Female speakers wanted now. The lovely Tony Wilkins has a range of speaking events for women of influence. He has a tour coming up in 2019 and he's looking for speakers all over. So he is looking at running events in San Diego, New York City, Boston, Chicago, Atlanta, Denver, New Orleans, Dallas, Seattle, Hawaii, a number of different locations. And he's looking for top female speakers in those different cities to help share their ideas, their insights and their steps to empower women building sustainable and profitable businesses. So if you are a woman in business and you want to get on stage and speak at one of Tony's events, please get in touch with Tony. The link is in the Weekly Rocket. Next one, podcast guest wanted now. This is an interesting one. It is called The Content Friends, and they've launched a brand new growth podcast, and they're looking to interview people to help you grow your personal brand. And if you're in the industry of marketing, if you're a startup or a small business, or you like blogging, or you're doing online marketing, they're looking for all of those sorts of people to share their stories of what it's been like to start up your own business. So if you're a content creator, you're in marketing, you're a small business owner and you're starting up, or you're doing anything interesting online, it's a really awesome podcast to get on, to share your insight, and of course grow your following around the world. So it's called The Content Friends, and it's a podcast, and they're looking for guests. And last but not least, in the Weekly Rocket this week, expert comment wanted. This is successful internet marketers. So if you have helped people with either email marketing, SEO, blogging, creating content, building websites, anything to do with online marketing or creating online businesses, they want your comment. They want to help their subscribers. They've got a number of subscribers that are looking for help. Your quote or your expert comment should be about 200 to 300 words long. You can also share your URL, your website, and your bio and a photograph of yourself in that particular blog as well. So really great way to get your business and your expertise out there if you are in that field of online marketing, building websites, SEO, blogging, anything, email experts, funnel hacking, you name it, anything that you can do with an online business. That's an ideal way to get your brand out there. So there are just some of the awesome Weekly Rocket opportunities for you. Please jump into those, and if you do want to get the Weekly Rocket to get speaking gigs, to be seen as the expert, just click on that link below and make sure that you get on the list to subscribe and get the Weekly Rocket so you can get your brand out there. So that's it for this episode of Brandworking TV. Remember, you have the most amazing natural gifts and talents to share with the world, and you do deserve to be well known, well paid and wanted.